Hello everyone, this is Lakshay from Abler HD Canada, Trenton, Nova Scotia. Today I have the one of the most inspiring people of Trenton, Nova Scotia, or I'll say Pictou County, Nova Scotia, Kathryn Tanner, who is the director at Pictou County Roots for You. And please tell us what is the background of Pictou County Roots for Youth, what they do, and what inspired them to do the great things that they do.
So Roots for Youth was started in 2011, actually by some teachers who have now since retired, but they really saw the need for housing, emergency housing for youth in Pictou County of that age range, 12 to 24. So we originally just started with that housing project, and I believe it only had 3 beds. And now we've moved it up. We have 8 beds, and because it's a youth shelter, it's a little bit different than the adult shelters. The youth don't have to wait outside to see if they, may have a bed. Once they do an intake with us, they do have a bed, and their stay is roughly 3 months. Depending on what's been going on, the progress they've made. There's so many different facets. Generally, it's 3 months, but that's not kind of set in stone. And so, yeah, we've grown from that sort of 3-bed run completely off volunteers to now, being full staffed, having 8 beds, having 5 beds in the supportive housing unit, and then also having that outreach piece, which hopefully is a preventative. We can kind of catch and see youth that maybe are at risk of potential homelessness, or couch surfing, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we've come a long way.
So it depends upon, like, if they get a house, they can move out.
Yeah.
Okay, makes
Yeah,
sense.
and so the neat thing about the supportive housing unit is that it's kind of that next stage when we get the youth in the shelter. Unfortunately for some of them, it's one of the worst days of their lives. They're realizing that they're now in a homeless shelter. But that the shelter's kind of stage one. It kind of, we can help stabilize them, look into mental health, look into addiction services. What do they need to help them succeed? And then the supportive housing unit is, they pay a little bit of rent. So, it helps them, get ready for the world. It's not as much as some, but they do have to pay rent. But there's still staff there to help them and guide them when they need. So the goal is for the kids from the shelter, hopefully we can move them into that supportive housing unit and then help them find apartments from there.
What is the vision behind Coldest Night of the Year?
So Coldest Night of the Year is a fundraising event that communities do all over Canada. You can choose to walk 5 kilometers or 2 kilometers. And basically the idea is, to show the public the harsh realities of what it might feel like if you had to sleep outside or live outside. And so there are many different organizations similar to ours that do this walk, and it's brings a lot of a sense of unity to know that, even though the times are different, that, when our walk stops, the walks in Toronto are starting. So it's, even though we're in, Pictou County, Nova Scotia, we have seen youth from all over the country. And so we're all kind of working together. We've had youth from Ontario, we've had youth from New Brunswick, we've had youth from Alberta. And so we're all just kind of working together for a common goal.
And this year you are the walker?
Yeah, so we have 17 teams right now, I believe. We're hoping, we've got 4 days, so we're hoping to get some more. But I am the executive director at Roots for Youth, so I'll be leading the walk, the 5K walk this year. So we're excited. We're hoping to get some more teams and some more donations.
You're right.
Can you share us a specific story of someone whose life was positively impacted when they came to your shelter house, leaving that homelessness behind?
Positive way for the services that is offered by you or the team.
Yeah, so we've had several youth who maybe it took them a couple of times. They stumbled, they were in and out of the shelter. But we've been able to kind of help them through with the shelter. They've done the supportive housing program, and now they've got an apartment on their own, and they've got jobs, and they're doing quite well. Even youth that we've been able to support who have moved on, to live on their own, but didn't go through the supportive housing unit. That's what's really great about having outreach to the age of 26. We're still kind of able to be there, and for some of the youth, it's the first time that they felt that somebody really cared about them, and that they, maybe what is coming out of my mouth or my staff's mouth, maybe they don't like it at the time, but they now realize that we were trying to help. We were trying to, get them on a different path, a different direction. And so, it doesn't happen every day. This job is hard. And there's a lot of, 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. But we just have to, remember that we're in it for the long haul, and we definitely do see the benefits.
And what are your future plans? You said long haul, so what are your future plans related to this?
In the future, I definitely would like to be able to continue to help the youth. I would like to see, whether it's with Roots or whether it's with other organizations in the county, I'd like to see more supportive housing um, units, because I think that those really help, especially when you have kids that, for whatever reason, they didn't learn how to budget, they didn't learn a lot of necessary skills in order to effectively live on your own. And so, yeah, I'd love to kind of see that. I'd love to see, potentially more shelter beds. There are definitely times that we have to turn kids away because we don't have the space. And we're only one of 3 youth shelters in the province of Nova Scotia. And there's one 2 hours away from us and 5 hours away from us. So there's not a lot of spaces, especially for youth in that, 16 to 19 range.
So you live just across the place where these events held, or you're the shelter house. So how do you feel about that?
It feels pretty great, actually, to be, you know, the house that we're in. We have a local community college that's in the backyard. Um, in the town, we were in the town of Glasgow, and then they were wonderful. The house that we were in, it just was too small. It was time to move, and it just kind of happened that this house was available, and it ended up being perfect. It definitely brings a sense of community for me, and there's a trust in the community members that this is the first time the town of Stellarton has had an organization like us. So I definitely feel that people could potentially be afraid of what they don't understand. And when you hear there's a homeless shelter moving in on your street, some people may have some feelings about that. Um, and so I think where I am from this community, and I've done a lot of public speaking engagements, or gone to local churches, or wherever anybody will have me, really, just to say, listen, if you have any questions, ask me. This is what we can do. This is where there's nothing we can do. This is so I think knowledge is power, and when people have an understanding, you know they may not like certain things, but they know why it is the case.
And they are giving any positive responses?
Yeah, so we have a shared driveway with the neighbors, and they're an older couple, and they are wonderful. He mows our lawn in the summer, and we plow their driveway in the winter. He gave us some vegetables from his garden for Thanksgiving. So it's been really positive, to have that relationship. There is a church that's at the top of the street, and they've been very generous. To us. So it's just really nice to see. And sometimes we speak to people that they didn't even know we were here, which I take as a compliment, because that means there's not a lot of, you know, negative stories or whatever. And I work really hard to kind of get myself out there and promote who we are and what we do, so that, people know.
And does youth or people complain also when they have to leave after 3 months? That will.
They do. Like we try really hard to make it. I mean, it's a shelter, but it's set up very differently. It's bedrooms, it's not cots. And so we work really hard to provide a home environment. You know, I'm sure there are youth that leave here and say, I am not going back there. But it's a personality thing, right? Everybody's not going to like everybody all the time. And, you know, we do have rules that we do have to uphold. And we also are very conscious of the fact that when we have a youth that's working really hard, they've made great decisions, they're on a really good path. That doesn't necessarily mean they're leaving in 3 months because I don't want to derail that progress because the only option is 2 hours away or 5 hours away. And so
Right.
we really kind of have to look at what's the risk, where's the harm reduction, would it be better to keep them, would it be better to move them on? And so it's, you know, every kid is unique, so we really just kind of put that 3 months out as a,
Why most youth is getting homeless nowadays?
I think, and you know, I can say this because I have teenagers of my own that, you know, would be well adjusted, and I see, you know, their struggles and things that they deal with. The mental health is a huge crisis for youth, mental health and addictions. And I know for Pictou County on a whole, especially for youth, you know, up to that age 18, there isn't um, a lot of youth specific mental health. If somebody needed, you know, some pretty um, serious level detox, you know, that kind of stuff. We don't have anything like that here. It is in the city of Halifax. Um, and I think that there's also such a stigma of mental health and mental health issues. And the way I explain it to, and we see it here, the way I explain it to my youth is I say, hey, if you played a sport and you busted up your knee, you would see a doctor for that. And you might potentially need a little bit of medication, but you might also need physiotherapy. Your brain is no different. It's a body part. And
Right.
so sometimes maybe we need a little bit of medication, but maybe we also need to talk to somebody, and that's your physiotherapy. And when I play it for them in that spectrum, they go, oh, yeah, because there's such a stigma. And we even see it in kids 16, 17 years old because they've heard it from somebody who's heard it from somebody. Oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not, I'm fine. I'm, you know, whatever. And so yeah, it's that mental health piece, that addiction piece, and just kind of breaking down those barriers of making it socially acceptable and okay to work on our mental health, you know?
And what are the some things that youth can do or young generation can do to avoid this mental stress which is going on?
I think a lot of self-care. Listen,
Because
I love,
many people choose to go towards the bad things, going towards the
yep,
drugs just to avoid the
yep,
temporary stress.
yep. And I think that if a kid is fortunate enough to be in the school system, and we see kids that are in the school system and kids that aren't, there are wonderful programs within the school system here. We call it Schools Plus, um, to kind of get them on that path, you know, to help out. I think any type of physical activity. So just kind of a little side note, I did work at the YMCA for quite a few years, and I have a personal training certification, and so I love taking the youth to the gym, and they see that, you know, stress relief that comes from the released endorphins that, you know, doesn't come from any substance. You know, they've gone for a run or they've lifted some weights, or, you know, it's just working hard with them to show them something else, and also not pointing fingers. You know, not, there's a reason, there's a trauma, why, there is drug use that is more than recreational, and just kind of showing them a different way without also chastising them, why did you do this or whatever, because that doesn't help.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's meeting them where they're at. And, I use the term love wins because love wins everywhere. When you show somebody love and compassion and patience, then, that's starts you off right there.
And what inspires you to help youth or young generation in such a way that mostly people are homeless now? So what inspires you to do that?
So it's kind of funny. Years and years and years ago, there was a show that was on TV on CBC. It was called Road to Avonlea. And some people may remember it, some people may not. And in the last season, one of the characters who I resonated with opened a foundling home, which at the time, I guess would have been an orphanage. And I can remember, being 12, 13 years old thinking, oh, I could do that. I could do that. And then, life happened, and I have a criminology degree and a correctional service diploma. So I always thought I would go into corrections. But life happened. I had 3 children, and I was working at the Y, and this opportunity came up, and I just thought, you know what? I have always had a passion for youth. And I think that it's the age that we deal with is such a pivotal age because they're still young, but yet they're becoming adults. And so I think that, if I can help even just one kid, which, I know that we've helped more, but, to be that person that somebody thinks of in the future. She helped me with that. She taught me how to make banana bread. And you don't realize how meaningful those little tiny things are when you can connect with the youth, when you know their guard is down, when you know that they trust you, especially when you're telling something that maybe they don't really want to hear, but they trust you, and so they take that, right? We deal with kids who have some pretty heavy life styles. They've had heavy things happen to them, and they can be pretty angry sometimes. And so, to be able to have that relationship with them, and it even, my own kids, the kids know where I work, they know what I do. And when my kid comes home and asks for another kid who's asked for another kid, are there beds at Roots? Do you have pregnancy tests? The fact that I've become that safe adult for the kids, I wouldn't change that for the world. Do I have lots of sleepless nights? All my staff, if a kid that was staying here maybe didn't come back, where are they? What has happened? That's it's like my own kids times 10, but I wouldn't change it because without organizations like ours, I don't know where we would be.
And would you like to give a message for the youth and for the people?
I think for me is that, if you're a youth and you're struggling, depending on, who hears this, there are youth organizations in your community. We're here to help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength to reach out to somebody for help. And maybe you don't need housing right now. Maybe you just need some outreach. Maybe you do need housing. And we're here to help. Use those organizations, use their drop-ins. So that's, I guess, something I did forget to mention. We have drop-in here from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. and from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. And during that drop-in time, youth can have a hot meal, they can do laundry, they can have a shower, they can have a supportive conversation. And so we're here for that. You don't have to be living here. So I think that's what I really want to get across is trying to remove that stigma. We're here to help, and we hope that they take us up on it.
Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to have an interview with you. We are always there with you to support you. And at last, thank you so much again, and good luck for the event. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay. Bye bye.
So now we had such a great opportunity to talk with Kathryn Tanner, who is such an inspiring person who help all the homeless youth people, give them shelters. She told us her story from where she had 3 beds in the beginning and now she had 8. So if anybody who wants to participate in these events and definitely want to donate and help the youth and make this country proud, where we see that there is no homelessness and no youth is on the streets struggling for just for basic livings. So definitely go and check out the link and contact to the person, and the people of Pictou County definitely go and enroll in this event and definitely support the people. So thank you so much. This is Lakshay from Abler HT Canada, Trenton, Nova Scotia.